All right, everyone, we should be live. I will do my radio voice. Well, intermittently at least. We got to make sure that we're live on Rumble. Just a sec. I've got lots of stuff queued up, a few tabs. We got some news stories. They're going to be fun. Just a sec. Make sure that we're actually live on Rumble. Reload the tab. Come on. I know you want to be live. We don't seem to be live yet. Technical difficulties. Okay, yeah, we're live on Rumble. Okay, we're going to get right into it. We've got a lot to cover here. Keep in mind, this is the Saturday show, so we'll be doing mostly, random news topics, things of that nature. Some human interest stories as well. I will get to super chats, don't worry. We have our first, actually, on YouTube. My second nephew sent $10. No comment, thank you very much. If you're going to donate money, you can at least get your word in. Clank, clank. Yannick Mike says, what is your net worth? Considering my student loan debt, not that much. Some people think that I'm worth $1 million online. There's some like Chinese spam site actually that has the net worth of content creators. Claims that I'm worth, I think, $1 million. I wish. That would be lovely. Huns with guns. It's Morbin time. Yes, we have new memes. Lots of them. Jive Turkey Punk says sup and sip over on Twitch. Hello. Keep in mind, I will be responding to some Twitch chats as well, but I do not have it set up at the moment for super chats on the platform. I should probably rectify this. Styx is a rich man, says Daily Taylor. I make a living. Here, just a sec. I got to make sure that everything's proper here. Okay, so we've got. Oh yeah, I should probably pop that in to the. Just a second, everyone. I've got to go back to YouTube here on the other screen. I got to do the thing. It's important. If I can actually get there. Okay. I definitely don't want my audio on. There we go. Make sure I'm using the right link, actually. I really need to have two screens set up. I need to get a desktop experience going here. I need something more advanced. And probably a better camera, actually, in the near future. Okay, we'll go through these super chats before we launch into it. Johnny Azul, rest in peace, Andy Fletcher of Depeche Mode. Yes, indeed, Andy Fletcher unfortunately died, and nobody could have guessed he would be the first to go, because Dave, when they got famous, he started, launching off into his heroin binge. And Martin Gore started boozing himself after death. Andy Fletcher was the one that was, sort of the stable, mentally speaking. And he died first. I know that he was a couple of years older, but he wasn't that old, actually, in his 60s. So yes, unfortunately, Depeche Mode, which is pertinent to when I'm going to talk about Richard Spencer, actually, on this same broadcast. Unfortunately, because he's dead, Depeche Mode is dead as well. There can be no band without him. They could get Alan Wilder, I guess, back aboard, and that would be funky. But I don't think that there's any. I don't think that there's any drive to do that. Sadly, King James IX. As a fellow Minuteman supporter, what do you think about the Free States movement lore from Fallout Vault 76, and how relevant do you think it is to the current real world? I believe in the Free State movement. insofar as the Mises Caucus people in the Libertarian Party. I don't get so far into the lore that I try to overlap it with real life. But yes, if I were to wake up in a cryogenic vault in Fallout, like in Fallout 4, I would join the Minutemen. Yeah, they would absolutely be the ones that I would side with. E. Lombard, $9.99. No comment. Thank you very much. Civic Nationalism 1776. With the gun debate raging right now, will it affect the midterms? Will it affect how the midterms play out? And will the debate shift against gun control in its entirety? Usually after mass shootings, gun control is overstretched by the left. And yes, there is a backlash. Gun control becomes less popular. I would imagine that will be the case now. I think that they shot their load too early. I think they should have waited until October or something like that to make it an issue. The Human Centipede. Gas update from here in California. The closest station to me is currently $6.49 a gallon. Probably going to get a bicycle to help survive Bidenomics. Just use cocaine, it's cheaper, and then you can just jog wherever you need to go. There's a lot of super chats already. Kenthis15, important reminder to anyone in Washington State. You only have until the end of the month until the high-capacity magazine ban goes into effect. If it's not grandfathered, yes, you should definitely get as many high-capacity magazines as possible. Remember that anything under 15 rounds is a low-capacity magazine. Flip the linguistics around and shove it back in the face of the anti-gunners. We'll be talking about guns a little bit as well on this broadcast. Smart home management, time to look into the source behind real disinformation, isdglobal.org. I cannot vouch for that link because I've never taken it, but it's there for people that want to see it. By the way, there is a pinned link, if you're watching this video on YouTube, as almost 1,000 people are, to the debate that I had with Richard Spencer. I had hoped that he would see the light, that he would get beyond his immaturity. He has not. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more later. The Cancer Man. Did you see Ethan Ralph getting fish hooked sticks? I don't know what fish hooking is. Probably don't want to know. So no, I didn't see that. Robert H. sent $50. Thank you very much. No comment again. At the very least, swear at me or something like that. Z12. Have you seen the Ukrainian or me changed to a gay unicorn? Cannot find the article, but the headline is not all Nazis are bad. I think you're probably referring to the Azov battalion. No, I don't. I haven't seen anything about a gay unicorn. No. Is it gay unicorn? Z12, autospell, Ukrainian army. Yes, no, I haven't seen anything about that, no. Krieg Blackpaw, have you seen the Mises Caucus take over of the Libertarian Party? Yes, I made a video about that. I'm very happy about it. I am actually considering support for them in local elections, especially after the Trump Oz endorsement. Their new chair, Angela McArdle, is great. Yeah, Angela McArdle kicks ass. I oppose the Oz endorsement. We will be talking about that as well. Yes, I'm aware that the Libertarian Party has been completely subsumed by the Mises Caucus group within the party. That's good. Finally, their posts on the LP's official page on Twitter are not completely cringe. Jonah Jameson, would you consider doing longer content for serial killers? Watching you talk about them is fascinating and it'd make for good content. Oh, there are plenty of people that would love that. I've considered it. Maybe I'll do a serial killer series. Be interesting. I'd have to tie it into the occult and certain things as well somehow. Because mainly my interest in them is that a lot of them were proclaimed to be devil worshippers or devil worship adjacent. And in some cases, it's true, like with Richard Ramirez. I did that this morning. In some cases, it's not true, like with Charles Manson or Berkowitz, somebody like that. Sparky, F Ukraine. I support Ukraine's right to exist. I don't think that they should have been invaded at all. I do question the wisdom of sending $40 billion of weapons to them and then weeks later trying to limit American citizens in their ability to own weapons, however. Denine today marks my 48th trip around the sun. Well, congratulations and happy birthday. Andrew Mallon. Hey, Sticks, had our second-born child, first-born daughter last night. Clank on for all the Rona babies. Yes, indeed. Any baby born in the last 2 years, roughly, is a coronavirus epidemic baby. They're very, very lucky, actually. Far luckier than a Gen Z, generally speaking, is, considering the economy they're being born into and having to enter into in their college years. I feel more sorry for them than I do the fellow millennials. Razor Sticks. Where I live in Michigan, gas has reached a record $5 a gallon. Thankfully, my job gives me a gas card, so that frees up my budget considerably. Yeah, imagine the business issuing the gas cards. They're probably reconsidering that at this point. Well, maybe we need to cap the number of gallons per month or something like that. Kim Anthony, I do like you, but prefer Ramsey. Russell Brand has 5.5 million. Go figure. Yeah, Ramsey Paul's pretty cool. Apparently, by the way, he's 6'4" or thereabouts. I had absolutely no clue. I thought he was of average height. Talked to him about it actually the other day. He's apparently it's like me. Most of my extra height, I'm 6'2", is in my legs. So when I sit down, I look like I'm actually below average. I look like I'm the same height as my wife when I sit down. When I stand up, of course, it's a different story. I don't know. I don't know what my parents were putting in my food. Smart Home Management. How much do you know about Brother Nathaniel's work? Care to comment? Yes, that is that Alaskan preacher. I have heard of him. I've listened to some of his broadcasts. I think I actually had a little clip from one of his shortwave broadcasts. This would have been 5 or 6 years ago, where he was rambling on endlessly on his shortwave broadcast and begging God to get someone to donate like $100,000 to him to continue his ministry. And yeah, I think that he's a charlatan. I think that he wants money. Most ministers are like that. Civic Nationalism 1776. New York just banned their citizens having body armor and put in age restrictions in buying guns like the AR-15. This will get challenged, mark my words. Yes, it should be challenged in court immediately. Right now, the courts are in proper order because Trump overran the federal court system by and large, including the Ninth Circuit. That's based out in California and stuff like that, and they've made several good decisions recently. They should be challenged, absolutely. It's clearly unconstitutional. You're bereaving people 18, 19, 20 years old. They're capable of voting. They're part of the militia from exercising their free rights. You're violating their 14th Amendment equal protection rights, actually, by default. Very easy case for any competent legal team, at least. Avera Gamer, looking for a second job right now. In spite of that and my hobbies, though, it's hard to stay positive due to the economic hopelessness. How do you do it? Well, I mean, I am in an upper income block. I'm not rich, sadly. That does help. I know what it's like to be poor, so I do sympathize and empathize. What I would say is, as far as you can, learn a new skill, something that's profitable, something that gives you at least horizontal mobility. You've learned a new skill, you've learned, basic automotive tech or something. Your clerical job, I mean, I don't know what job you're in. Potentially it gets cut or something. You get your hours cut, and so you find something else. Any skill that you learn always helps with survivability. And then by having horizontal mobility, you also technically have upward mobility as well. Gorgeous Mayhem. A content creator named Will Witt is marrying a girl from the Netherlands. The Dutch are stealing all our right-wing dudes. Ree! Lol. Yeah, actually, third anniversary coming up, just to be clear. Eisenbeiss, hey Sticks, love the streams. Thoughts on South Dakota as a state? Never been there. I know that your capital, I think, is the least populated capital of all in the United States. Pierre, if I remember correctly. From U.S. history, yes, I do remember this. Looks pretty good. Mostly farms and some abandoned mines, but very cold, very snow, probably worse than Vermont. Razor Sticks, I can only use 20 gallons per week. Oh, and pineapple goes on ketchup. Plastered well-done steak. That's about all. God fucking speed. Yeah, I don't think I'd combine them all together. Maybe. I'll try it someday. I'll do it just to piss people off. Zool, do you think it's necessary for humanity to stay in the cycle of good and bad times to stay alive? It seems to be unavoidable by nature, and trying to get out of it just makes things worse. Yes, it's the eternal camp. Everyone will struggle forever, but the hope is that if enlightened minds are leading the way, you can have more of the good times. Because people deserve to have a reprieve once in a while in the stupidity of others. Sebastian Monroe, would you start a Clanker Steam group? I wouldn't even know how. As far as I know, Steam is just you download a game and then you play it offline. I don't do the online gaming bullshit. Andrew Sobel, hey Sticks, the USA supplied Ukraine long-range missiles. If they use them on a Russian city, do you think Russia will launch missiles against a USA state like Alaska? No, because that would be genocidal and suicidal at the same time, number one. And number two, the Ukrainians, I don't think, are crazy enough to do that. They'll use it against Russian targets in the eastern provinces from far away, hoping to not be retaliated against. I do oppose giving them these missiles. It is a provocation. It's crazy, but they have them. The U.S. government, long-range missiles for random Ukrainian groups, and no 10-round magazines for you and your firearm. Those are scary. No cucks allowed. I had to get a fake vaccination paper to visit my dad in the hospital here in Burbank, California, too. Trump is supporting Blake Masters in Arizona. I know nothing about Blake Masters. It would lead me in the direction of supporting him if he has a Trump endorsement, but that leads us right into one thing I wanted to talk about. I'll pause the super chats for a moment. Mehmet Oz, he has won the primary in Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz, you'll know him as. Turkish dual citizen, extreme anti-gunner. I don't know why Trump endorsed him. And I made a video this morning explaining that if I were a Pennsylvanian, if I were part of the electoral process in that state, I wouldn't support Mehmet Oz. I don't care that Trump supported him. That leans me in the direction of thinking a person may be viable. My problem is this. It's twofold. Number one, if I look for what Mehmet Oz actually supports, I can't support it on many counts, including mainly guns. Number two, the problem is if you're trying to get a moderate candidate, Mehmet Oz is considered the moderate of the three front runners, as opposed to, I can't remember her name, the very pro-gun chick that was in the running, not Barrett, I can't remember her name, and then McCormick, which was locked in a dead heat with him. Less than 1,000 votes actually separating them. The problem is that if you're trying to cool down the liberals, the Democratic voters, and prevent higher turnout, that you've accomplished that. Mehmet Oz, despite the Trump endorsement, is seen as less frenetic than these others. I would have preferred McCormick myself. The problem is that by being anti-gun, when the gun issue is being put to the fore artificially by the Democratic Party as a main issue, because they can't talk about the border, crime, economy, foreign diplomacy, infrastructure, or anything else, because Biden is a miserable failure, there could be a backlash. By Mehmet Oz being in favor of an assault weapon ban, red flag laws, etc., he sounds a lot like Joe Biden. I don't know that he'll win. Not that it matters. If I were there as a Pennsylvanian, I wouldn't vote for either of them. I mean, I'm not going to vote for the Democratic candidate because I'm not stupid, but I don't think that I could bring myself to vote for Mehmet Oz. I also disagree deeply with dual citizens being in Congress. Deeply. It doesn't matter where they're dual citizens of. Mehmet Oz is brought up because he's the newcomer that has that dual citizenship. You've also got the problem where the Senate may be asked to do something diplomatic. And you have right now an extreme, very urgent situation actually with Turkey, where Erdogan is attempting to tie Finland and Sweden, their NATO membership in, with the rest of NATO essentially backing off on supporting the Kurds that are in Turkey. Because Erdogan and the Turks at large, the nationalists and the liberals there, consider them insurgents, at least on their side of the border. It's a difficult situation. I don't know that Mehmet Oz will actually be able to be elected, nor would I care. I don't care if the Democrats take that particular Senate seat, because how is Mehmet Oz any different? Marginally better. Oh, it doesn't support full lockdowns after I believe actually paying lip service to them initially. Slightly less anti-gun. No. High capacity magazines, which don't exist, those are fine, but we're going to ban those evil AR-15s. Yeah, we need red flag laws. Screw the idea of the right to trial and stuff like that. So that's my beliefs on Mehmet Oz. I would not support him. It'd be very difficult for me to cast my vote if I were there for someone like Mehmet Oz. Lots and lots of super chats. Sparky, Ukraine will thrive under Russia. Its potential has been canceled by Western carpetbaggers who empowered Nazis, leaving Ukraine a shell. No, the Russians actually killed a bunch of Ukrainians decades ago, and that's probably why they are reluctant to join with Russia now. Russia also had its puppeteer running their country, and somehow, despite your beliefs there, they did not become wealthy. They were still a backwater. I wonder why that happened. Jebediah Kerman, LP.org platform has changed a bit. They added their opposition to regulating hate speech and also clarified that we own our own bodies. Yeah, good. The LP under Jorgensen, you'll remember a couple of years ago, was praising Facebook for canceling political pages for so-called hate speech, which can be literally anything under the sun. Basically, Taylor Lorenz or Jared Holt or some idiot like that decides that it's hateful, and they write a stink piece and it gets taken up coincidentally by MSNBC and CNN and groups like that, and all of a sudden you get banned. No, hate speech does not exist. Hateful speech should be totally legal. There should be no penalty, civic or criminal, for it, nor should corporations be policing it. There's no reason to. It's just not necessary. Robert Manley, you're a great dad. I try to be. Thank you very much. Sparky, Trump picked some bad ones. Pompeo, Pence, etc. Pompeo better than most of the other lower end picks. Pence, I warned you about him. Do you not remember? I do believe during the election in 2016, there was a few weeks where I climbed off of the Trump train, specifically because he chose Pence for his running mate. I think that aged like fine wine. I don't know. Do you agree? It's funny because some people crucified me at the time. Oh, God. No, Pence is perfectly fine. No, Trump can't do any wrong. He's the God Emperor. No, he's not. That's the whole point. He was a mild reformer. I was completely right from top to bottom for 4 years. And there were still people that were jumping down my throat about it. I was right about Pence. I'm certainly right about Mehmet Oz. You wait. If he gets elected, I'll be proven right. Wouldn't vote for him in a million years. Fire down below. I know you're optimistic when it comes to states defortifying elections for the midterms in 2024, but look at how sketchy Pennsylvania just was with mail-in ballots. Yeah, but that's just one state. And Pennsylvania is run by morons anyway. And they'll get Mehmet Oz will be their senator probably. So it's either a Democrat or it is Mehmet Oz. I don't know which one is worse. Jim Morrison, the most reliable 22 semi-auto is likely the Ruger 1022. I'll take my HR Sportsman. It is a 9-shot revolver, top break, dual action, extremely nice. I almost want to get a second one just so I can have a pair of heavy irons, so to speak. Winston Fujimori. Ghost Politics got banned off Twitter because losers mass reported him. He's going to set up his own node on the Fediverse because, let's be honest, Gab sucks. It's an echo chamber, and Torba is a grifter. I like Gab. I'm on Gab. I do agree that Torba has an acerbic attitude that is holding the site back quite clearly because he does. I mean, he's not appealing to anyone who's not a deep-seated Christian. And that's the problem. There are millions and millions of people who use your fucking platform, and you're alienating them on a daily basis with your shit posting. Oddly enough, shit posting on Twitter. And I think that this is crazy. I think that he's gone completely apeshit with regards to this. I did not know that Ghost got banned off Twitter. I'm not sure now how he'll contact me, actually. There had been, in a preliminary sense, some attempt to get him aboard the midterm live stream that I was going to do. I would have found that funny. As long as he does the beer can noise. Fire down below. Rip for Trevor Sternad from the Black Dahlia murder. Best American metal band in the past 20 years, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Sorry. I prefer extreme black metal or grindcore. Epic Man 004, country you want to visit most that you haven't visited. Iceland. I want to go and see the elves and gnomes and shit. Anyway, we'll get to the next topic before I go into more super chats. Don't worry, I'll get to your super chats. Gary Jean, I see down there, and anyone that comments thereafter. By the way, I think we're pushing 6 Biden loser units already cross-platform. That's what I'm talking about. People asking if Mehmet Oz is his real name. Yes, his name is Mehmet. I don't care about that, but I mean, he's a dual citizen. Dual citizens should not have any part in the U.S. government. They should have to renounce their foreign citizenship. If they're in a state government, that's state purview. That doesn't matter. Local government, who cares? Congress, especially the U.S. Senate, some of these people have security clearance at fairly high levels. No, they shouldn't have split loyalty, which is what that automatically entails. We're going to talk about Richard Spencer, though, because he can't stop taking the L. As you know, link in the chat, pinned, of course. If you're watching on YouTube, you should go and watch that. It was the matchup that I had on the kill stream with Richard Spencer, and his premise was that internet anonymity is a terrible thing. 4chan should be banned. 8chan should be banned. Any site that allows people to be anonymous to other users, I will get into that, should be abolished because it's radicalizing people. Terrible thing. He has followed up on that as of the other day, on the 3rd of June. I'll read this verbatim, and I'll read what he's responding to. What he's responding to is by Ali Breland, another blue checkmark account. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Totally non-biased here. New archived moderation logs show how Jim Watkins, the proprietor of QAnon's home, 8chan, ran a separate image board where users recurringly posted links to pedophilic content. Now, there are a couple of problems with this. There is no home of QAnon. QAnon was a liberal LARP. That's the political side of it. As far as this content, this article that is being cited is from Mother Jones. Yes, we've come to the point where Richard Spencer unironically trusts Mother Jones to give him the true skinny on what's going on online issues. Here was his response. He retweeted it. There is more than enough justification to ban these platforms in the US, if not globally. Now, the latter is impossible. A country or an international body cannot unilaterally ban the websites of another country. They can ban access to them, get around with a VPN or something. Here's the problem, and I challenged him on this. I replied to this. Do you remember the scandal, I think it was 2 years ago on Twitter, where Twitter had a cavalcade of people offering, or supposedly offering, don't know whether it's real and don't want to know, child porn actually on the site under various hashtags for pay, I think in crypto, if I remember correctly. Who broke that story? Why did I have to investigate this? Oh, that's right. I saw about it on 4chan. Anonymous posters made me aware of the fact that Twitter had this shit going on. And I looked into it, and there was a story, a follow-up, not many months later, where several individuals had sued Twitter. They had flagged this content, which involved them allegedly, I don't know if there was a legal closure here, allegedly as minors. They had flagged the material on Twitter, and it was not removed. And they sued, and they said, look, we flagged it. We told you that we were underage at the time. This material is illegal, and you didn't remove it. You are culpable in that. What happened? Twitter hid behind Section 230 and said, we're not editorializing material at all, other than political material, obviously, that they censor quite heavily, which Spencer is happy about. We don't do that. We can't be held culpable. We're not legally responsible for anything posted on the site. Yeah, we refused to remove this material, which was illicit, which was illegal at the time. And we were warned that it was illegal, but, we didn't see a problem with it. Unfortunately, somehow the plaintiffs, I believe, lost the lawsuit. So yeah, Richard Spencer siding with the government in its bizarre interpretation of Section 230. What about ElsaGate? That was only being spoken of at first on 4chan. 4chan uncovered the fact that a bunch of ostensibly children's material, things that were clearly geared towards a young audience, and they involved Elsa from Frozen and the Beauty and the Beast sort of thing, Disney shit, cartoon characters, clearly geared towards children. Spider-Man was somehow involved with half of it. Creepy material that involved scatology and innuendos and suggestive situations at the very least was being peddled to children. You'll note that it wasn't long after that YouTube locked down the children's section of the site and effectively compartmentalized the entire website into two pieces. No lamestream media coverage whatsoever. Who broke the story and forced the issue and presumably has now saved thousands of children from being indoctrinated into the same kind of woke horseshit that I guess Spencer supports? It was 4chan. 4chan, with its anonymous posting, because people were able to put it there and not get banned for posting it. People were getting banned as conspiracy theorists and extremists and so forth if they posted on mainline media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and so forth. Try criticizing these sites on the sites themselves. It rarely happens. I want to see Richard Spencer come out and say that his own Twitter account shouldn't exist because Twitter shouldn't exist because it was enabling pedophiles. But that's not going to happen because the whole point is that he's only mad at 4chan and apparently 8chan too, and nobody uses it, but whatever, because of the fact that he's memed there. And the whole point is internet anonymity allows for free speech. And this is something that I only vaguely got into when I debated him because I was too busy pounding him on a million other things because he was all over the place. The fact is this: if you have a culture of censorship, you need internet anonymity. That's number one. The fact is that these sites are better at getting this material reported and removed, terroristic threats, child porn, etc., than YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and similar sites. I'm broadcasting on YouTube right now. They have a poorer track record. They've had more scandals and more problems with it than 4chan ever has, at least in the last 10 years. But you don't hear about it on CNN, which is apparently the only news site that Richard actually pays attention to. But he doesn't care, even if faced with insurmountable evidence on behalf of internet anonymity. And these sites, which are under such a microscope that they have to go after material like that much more fervently, because otherwise they get slam-a-jammed off the internet. So there's an impetus for them to actually police it more. He's not going to admit to it because he just wants these sites to die. Because his whole career has ended. He's a joke on these sites. He is memed constantly. I am too. You know what I do? I go on B and I post log memes. I find it funny. Ethan, Ralph, and Richard Spencer both laughing hilariously at that when we were debating. I thought it was great. Use 4chan every day? Oh my God. Yes, absolutely, I do. Wouldn't have it any other way. I've used it pretty much every day for 12 years or 11, something like that. Pretty great. Get to some more super chats here. Quite a few of them. We may have more on Rumble. So we covered Richard Spencer. Yes, Richard Spencer believes that 4chan, that's his real beef, and then 8chan should be gassed off of the internet. Now, I think that Twitter is more of a harm to children. If you really want to save children, ban TikTok. Do what Donald Trump, the person that you really, really hate, do what he wanted to do. TikTok's full of weird shit. Have you ever seen it reposted on YouTube and elsewhere? It's all over the internet. Yes, it gets posted on 4chan, at least for the purposes of criticism. Here, let me see if we've got anything over on Rumble as well. Oh, let's see. We have so many chats to go through and so many topics to cover. I did that one. Ghost politics, Black Dahlia murder. Country you want to visit. Gary Jean, Sticks, do you think that working from home situation around the country will impact the elections? There are a lot of people moving from urban areas to rural areas and from blue states to red states. Yeah, it'll be good for rural areas. Vermont actually attempted to bring in people who were telecommuting essentially years ago. This was under Phil Scott. They allocated, what was it, a couple $1 million to create effectively a tax-free, within state at least, status for people who would move to the state to do like the internet thing. And I was thinking to myself, if I was from without the state, I could get tax-free status just for moving back. How funny that would be. But because I was actually in the state to begin with, fuck me, right? I'm screwed. But it didn't really take off because the internet connection speed is so low. This will favor states that have invested in better infrastructure. Certainly not where you're going to get in Vermont or Maine or something. State of Texas, Florida. It will incentivize people to move there. They're going to be taxed less. Their purchasing power will be higher, and they'll still enjoy their cyber personality existence. I support it. I think it's a good idea. We've got ABL01 over on Rumble. Get a haircut. Lose the 666 crap. Just for that, I'm going to grow my hair out longer, and maybe I'll have an extra set of 666s on my username. The 666, to be clear, for anyone that does not know the backstory, is there specifically to confuse people who are religious zealots, who will not enjoy my content. Because although people conflate me as a conservative and far-right and or Nazi or whatever, I'm not. I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-actual environmentalism. I don't care about gay things or whatever. And so you're not going to enjoy the content because you're a zealot. So go away. Go find something else to watch. I'm going to grow longer hair. You know, with Bidenomics, you know, you won't be able to afford heating oil. I'll need the extra hair. I can cut it off and stuff my shirt with it in the winter, and I'll survive. Sparky, Haspel fooled Trump on Skripal poisoning hoax. I don't think I've studied that one really. I'll just take your word for it. Civic Nationalism, 1776. Elon just got cleared for buying Twitter after an antitrust review. I wonder if he will still go through with it. I think he has to, or he has to pay up big. If he doesn't, then Twitter collapses. Whatever. Who gives a shit? It's a win-win for people like me. If Twitter collapses, well, I'm on Gab. I'm on Minds. I'm on Getter and Parler and a bunch of other sites. Oh, they'll explode with growth because Twitter collapses. If the deal does go through, Twitter becomes less censored. Well, I'm on Twitter. All of a sudden, Stefan Molyneux and Nick Fuentes and people like that are probably back on the platform, drawing in new people that had left the platform, in many cases overlapping with my own audience. I can't lose. I'm very happy about this acquisition deal. Grim Metals. Is there a way to send you some custom hand-poured bullion? I'm trying to send some to my favorite creators. I would love some hand-poured bullion, absolutely. If you DM me on Twitter, if you have a Twitter, you can have it sent to my home in Rutland. Of course, right now I'm in the Netherlands, but my family home is actually in Rutland, Vermont. Everyone knows my address. I got doxxed long ago because I doxed myself preemptively. Yeah, I would accept hand-poured bullion. Might have to declare it on taxes, depending on what kind of metal it is. John Hendy, thoughts on black metal band Immortal? My favorite. They're pretty good. I also like Nargaroth, Marduk. I like some of the really weird shit. Like there's a band, I think they're Canadian, if I remember correctly, and it's not pure black metal. It's also noise, called, what was it? Bak Bak Wallanuxiwe. And then I like Enbilalu Gugal, which is a Lovecraft-inspired band name. It's noise. Lately, it's more on the noise side, but originally it was noise and extreme black metal. I like all sorts of weird shit. The more underground, the better. I like I'm in a Coffin. That's suicidal, depressive black metal, by the way. Look up I Am Finally Happy by I'm in a Coffin. Yeah, it's a pretty good song. Very uplifting and cheerful. Sparky, Pompeo kept Trump from pardoning Assange. Yeah, I think if Trump gets reelected, I think that he probably does pardon Assange. He would do it just for show, just for attention. He may very well do that. Another reason to vote for him. Alexander Emelianov. Styx, can you explain how QAnon was a liberal LARP? Well, the idea is quite simple. You put out something that tells people, don't worry, everything's being taken care of from the inside. And so you keep them from thinking that there's any urgency to going out and voting, number one, knocking on doors, number two, picketing, number three, organizing, number 4, or doing anything else to prepare for the fact that maybe that doesn't happen. You have effectively defanged people who have been drawn into the QAnon LARP, and it really is. It is a LARP. There is no inside deep state operative called QAnon that Mike Lindell happens to have gotten reams of paperwork from. It does not exist. Mike Lindell is a goddamn con man. I'm coming out and saying it right now. Fucking moron. And there is no QAnon. Other than a bunch of liberals, possibly FBI agents, glowing ones behind a screen. That's really what QAnon is. Zach the Celtic Sky, do you have any friends or family on the left? I am center left and have many friends on the right or libertarian, and I'm also a big fan of yours. Sticks, despite some of my differences with you. Yes, I do have several relatives that are more on the left. Not on the far left, generally speaking, although one is. Still get along with them. You know, you don't want to talk politics maybe, but other than that, everything's fine. There's something in my eye. I think it's a cat hair. Probably is, considering they're shedding. It's that time of year. Wonderful. June is so great. Wandering Railroader. Sticks, you mentioned wanting a revolver Colt reintroduce the famous snake guns. Given your love of the Ouroboros, seems fitting. 357 model. Yeah, I'd like to get a 357 revolver and a 22 rifle and a shotgun and a tactical pistol. I've seen several good models and people have sent me some good links. Czech Scorpion is still on the top of the list, but there are some others that look pretty cool. I don't want it to be in 22 or 9mm, underpowered. I would want it to be in 5.7 is a pretty good round, I guess. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Yeah, Bretling, Section 230 protects exactly that kind of content and that situation. Yes, exactly. They're hiding behind 230. And the basic premise is we don't editorialize content, so we can't be taken... we can't be held accountable for literally hosting illicit material, even though we've been warned about it. The problem is this. They were warned about it. They were told it was illegal. It went through their own flagging process, and they still did not remove it. The fact that the lawsuit was not allowed to go forward, number 1, is a gross miscarriage of justice. And number 2, they do editorialize. They are constantly banning people on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc., for topical disagreements over sociopolitics, things that are legal. They're being warned that something illegal is posted on the site and they refuse to remove it and they still don't get in trouble. I don't see how Section 230 can't be amended so that these people can either be strictly publishers, that is, you are culpable if there's illegal stuff, but you can moderate however the hell you want, or platforms. You can only moderate within U.S. law. You can't simply ban someone for being offensive, for having an opinion that you consider unorthodox, but you will also be blameless if material is posted on the site. All we need to know is how you're doing the flagging and moderation thing, and that's the only real thing that we care about. There should be one or the other. Let them be actual publishers or actual platforms. They can't continue this dumb hybrid model where they're pretending to be publishers for all intents and purposes when they moderate, but they're also saying that they're a platform when something is done and they are potentially legally culpable for the material on their site. And the idea that internet anonymity is anything other than anonymity from other lay users on these sites is horseshit. And that's the other reason why Spencer is completely goddamn wrong. Nobody in their right mind expects that if you go on a website that offers anonymity, 4chan or whatever, that you're truly anonymous. You're anonymous to other users. I can post on 4chan, I post a log thread, nobody knows whether it's me or not. They suspect it's me at this point, but they don't know that it is. And I'm not the only log poster, just so people are aware. Hey, Eustace, take your meds. But the site admins know who I am. They've got all the user data. They know where I'm connecting from, the IP, etc., etc. If you post something illegal, law enforcement will be able to get that material. So you better be behind 7 boxies at that point. It's the old joke. The idea that it's problematic is horseshit. Richard Spencer is being disingenuous and hoping that other people know as little about these sites as he does. He doesn't seem to understand. Law enforcement has full access to that data. The site admins have full access to that data. The mods have full access to that data. It's not hidden. It's not really anonymous. It's only anonymous from other users. So what's the problem? He wants to talk about illicit material. Okay, well then clamor for Twitter to be banned and for you to lose the one last vestige of the mainline internet presence that you used to have. Seors, I have been floating the idea of making police chiefs, like sheriffs, get voted into office, not picked by city government for city government. Agreed. I think that all law enforcement officials should be on a short leash. They should be elected. They should serve only within their region. As far as officers that have no choice but to extend beyond that, let them be the staties. Let the staties handle it. We don't need any further force in the United States. There's no need for metro police. Just have a bunch of sheriffs and constables. There's so many super chats, I can't get to half the news, and we're already 45 minutes in. It's a big problem. J. Clifford 3881. Sticks, what are your thoughts on Colorado? I'm moving there in a month from California. I work in electronics manufacturing, but will probably get a job quick at the Denver airport. Oh, the Illuminati airport, I think. Too cold, too snowy. Also, you need to become a coke snorter for the altitude. Winston Fujimori. Spencer spilled his spaghetti all over the place. It was more than spaghetti. There's some meatballs in there. Brewmaster Monk, have you ever streamed with Adam Green? No, I have not. Sparky, not that you do it, Sticks, but what if someone used their internet anonymity to shitpost and hurt someone's feelings? Yeah, well, the site mods know who it is. If it's illegal shitposting, like, terroristic threats, then the law enforcement, they know who it is. It's just that the other new users on the site don't know. I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Anonymous posting is a good thing in the world. Gary Jean, have you heard about the UN Small Arms Treaty? Rand Paul has talked about this through the NAGR. UN law has nothing over on the US Constitution as far as the US is concerned, so nobody cares what the UN says. Miami Cuz, I just changed my gender to undecided. F YouTube 10.5, what does it mean when something is memetic? It means it involves memes and or propaganda and or the occult in general. Winston Fujimori, would you want to be a mod on Ghost's Fediverse node? Also, could Liz and you write a letter to Geert Wilders and Terry Baudet to join the node? Low-key IC info, there are politicians who followed Ghost. Yes, I've been followed by politicians too. I got retweeted by Trump at one point, which is hysterical. Although they retweeted the Daily Motion link. Yeah, really helpful, guys. Anyway, boomer tech aside, now I don't do the Fediverse thing because individuals that don't even like me keep trying to get me to join it and rambling about how terrible I am. So I'm sort of sour on the idea. I'll look into it maybe at some point. It's not on my priority list. Winston Fujimori, hashtag free Ross Ulbricht, hashtag free Cody Wilson. Yeah. All right, I think we've got Jesus Christ. Please don't send any more super chats. I've still got several news items to get to, and I've still got a bunch of super chats. Please don't send any more cross-platform. I can't get through them all. Jack Perry, Sticks, Dr. Steve Turley mentioned you a few days ago. All good things about one of your vids, just spreading good vibes. Dang, that 420 is kicking in. Smoke weed every day. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Ryan E., little change of topic for a second. Growing up, were you a PlayStation, N64, or other guy? N64. For that generation of gaming, yeah. What was your favorite game from that era, if any? Oh, God. Favorite N64 game? Technically, Ogre Battle 64. It took my mom years to find it, though. I think the PS3 might have been released before I actually got a copy because it was never marketed in the United States. It was all Japanese copies. Did really well there. Suffered from a zero marketing campaign in the US, and I think sold less than 10,000 copies, if I remember correctly. Best RPG game, in my opinion, in pre-modern gaming. Ogre Battle 64, person of lordly caliber. Fucking get it, fucking play it, you will fucking enjoy it. That being said, as far as which one did I play the most, mainline games, probably Star Fox 64, I would say. I like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and all the basic bitch games. Star Fox 64 was on another level, as far as I'm concerned. The dogfighting in that was way ahead of its time, ultimately. Then they screwed it up on the GameCube with their subsequent release. Jim Morrison, the Ruger 1022 is a rifle, not a handgun. What is that revolver you have? HR Sportsman. It is a Top Break 22 revolver, dual action. It was made for about 40 years. It was very popular as a small game, sort of a varmint revolver. My grandfather gave me one, and I don't know what year it's from, actually. I have no clue. I think presumably from the 70s, considering when he was trapping. Musically assured destruction. Some money for the baby. Have you heard of the Connecticut government shifting to misinformation sheriff to investigate 4chan and other sites for election misinfo? Yes, I heard that they allocated, I think, $1 million budget to have someone literally just shitpost on 4chan. Yeah, 4chan is totally not relevant anymore. Totally outdated. Yeah, they only got $1 million budget to have the sheriff sit there on his fat fucking ass and look at Andy Six log posting. Josh Eternal, just get rid of the pigs. Americans are more than capable of protecting their own neighborhoods. There's no problem with police. They should be elected. Constitution guarantees sheriffs and constables. Doesn't guarantee metro forces, now does it? George Paul, Richard Spencer is totally a Fed. Yeah, I don't make that claim. I just claim that he's completely wrong on internet anonymous posting. Please, by the way, everyone, no more super chats. I've got 2 news stories to go through. Lev Polyakov, looking forward to BreakTheRules.tv gun control stream with you versus Jack Kosciarella. Yes, that is true with Lev there. I will be on Break the Rules in not many days, talking about how guns are great, and facing off against a very soft-faced soy boy who doesn't know anything about guns, as evidenced from his Twitter. I'll be archiving some things tonight, I think, in preparation. Following Tuesday, yes. Wonder what his Zoomer audience will think. I think they'll get red-pilled. I think there'll be some more gun sales as a result of our chat. Tim Hogan, Thomas Sheridan does great work on the occult. Sounds cool. James Frederick, crazy though, you should be allowed to hurt feelings. Well, I mean, you are. It's just that some people pretend that for some reason it's magically illegal. Not a banned account. When the US dollar collapses, will mortgages end? No, you'll still owe the bank. It's just that you won't have anything to give them. You'll have to pay them in cabbages. Daily Taylor, do a barrel roll. I get the reference. Gary Christensen, wait, really quick before you leave. Here's some money. Clankety, clankety, clank, clank. Oh, I'm not leaving. I've still got several news stories I have to go through. Sparky, when amending soil with compost, be sure and check pH. Yes, it's true. If it's out of the zone, your plants won't uptake enough nourishment. You heard it here first. And keep in mind, some plants don't mind a little bit of acidity or alkaline soil. Berries want to be a little bit lower on the pH scale. Now, what was it else that we had here? Oh, yeah, we got to talk about Biden. We'll go through this really quick. Here's a tweet from Joe Biden that will make you wonder about his sanity. Well, not really, but it would if you thought that he had any. I led the world to coordinate the largest release from global oil reserves in history, directed the sale of gasoline using homegrown biofuels this summer, and more. These actions have already helped to blunt what would have been an even larger Putin price hike. Now, of course, this is low-hanging fruit as a subject material. There's no Putin price hike. The gas prices were already soaring when Biden got into office, long before Ukraine was invaded. The funny part is, much like with the White House claiming some sort of bizarre optical victory with sending military planes in to drop infant formula off, as though there shouldn't have been a shortage to begin with, and it was not foreseeable, even though he was warned about it a month before by the formula companies, and that's really a problem for him optically right now. Supposedly, it's good that gas prices have soared up so high that the strategic oil reserves have to be cracked open to the point where oil that's really meant to be a necessity in times of war or extreme strife, a major disaster or something, is being freed up, even though there is no current war, there is no current natural disaster. And technically speaking, at least according to Joe Biden, keep this in mind, there's no economic crisis. Everyone's back to work. Wages are rising. Savings are soaring. Everything's perfectly fine. So why are you freeing up the strategic oil reserves that were largely put into that stock by Donald Trump? I wonder why. Could it be that all of these things are false? The economy is falling apart and the US is technically on a war footing, half a step from World War III and nuclear annihilation? Oh, I think that we've gotten to the crux of the problem here. Got another super chat. Not a banned account. You plan to advance our species by breeding more. I don't discuss that kind of personal issue online. That's really, that's only mine and Liz's business at that point. We've also got to look at the actual gas price. Keep in mind, we are now, and this was announced earlier, even adjusted for inflation, which is high, and so prices, they rise, but the actual purchasing power of the pricing may not rise as much. Even with inflation, we are now officially at the highest average gas price in the United States in our history. That's adjusted for inflation. We already hit that mark a bit over a month ago, I think. What the exact date? It was back in March. March is when we hit it for the first time. Adjusted for inflation, though, because inflation is soaring, it was technically tied for second or third. Now it's at the absolute highest, even with inflation. $4.72 a gallon average. And in some states, it's approaching $7 per gallon. Some economists say that it might actually hit $10 per gallon. Then certain gas stations have already added an extra digit because of this. This is, according to Joe Biden, a very, very strong, robust, properly functioning economy. I wonder why the Democrats are going to have problems in the midterms. Never would have guessed. Oh, people are punishing us. I don't know why. It must be a voter. It's voter suppression. The Republicans cause suppression at the polls. Now, we're going to talk about one other thing. Yeah, just bear with me a moment because I got lost in my thoughts. We covered Spencer. We covered Biden and his gas prices. Yeah, we'll talk about Dr. Oz briefly, even though we already covered it again for people just tuning in. I would not support Dr. Oz. For any of you that are Pennsylvanian, it's not worth it. Trump screwed the pooch as far as his endorsement of Dr. Oz. He is anti-gun. He's completely nuts, basically. He doesn't really have any qualifications. McCormick would have been at least marginally better, even though, as I pointed out in my video this morning, there were no standout candidates really in the field. I realize that ceding that seat to the Democrats isn't great, but what's the use of having a Republican who's basically going to be a dual citizen Mitt Romney anyway? Who cares? Might as well let the Democrats have it. Otherwise, you get a Republican that breaks with the party when it's holding ground on an issue where it really should hold ground and switching sides to vote in favor of red flag laws, to vote in favor of Gatling crank ban or something like that. Let the Democrats own it instead so that they get punished even more in 2024. Screw Dr. Oz. I wouldn't support him. And then finally, we've got one last subject. What is a woman? I will answer that question in brief, and we'll see if anyone, moderators on any website, have a problem with that. A woman is a person without a Y chromosome. That's it. That's the answer to your question. The further answer is link in the description on BitChute, actually. This was a documentary that was made recently in which Matt Walsh, I believe, goes out and, talks to the pink-haired crowd, people who believe in Tumblr, genderism, maybe, things of that nature, in grooming, in things that would have been considered wildly inappropriate and potentially illegal only 5 to 10 years ago. And he completely flummoxes them. He crushes them into the ground with facts and logic, a la Ben Shapiro meme, which isn't hard to do because these people often don't even really understand what they're talking about. It's sort of like when I was crippling the leftoids with CRT. If you don't know what it even is, if you think that it's just racial justice education, I'm going to steamroll you because you haven't even studied the backdrop against which the various theories and sub-theories of CRT were created. You don't know about its origins. You don't know about its proposals. I actually took the 2 or 3 hours out of my life necessary to study this very, very basic, very, very uncouth and caveman-like ideology. It's really not that difficult to understand when you read about it in order to refute it. And what Walsh did is look at the, the rainbow upon rainbow crowd and people who are heavily invested in id poll, and he tore them up. And basically half of this video is him challenging people on their views and refuting their often circular reasoning and their various, stupidity, because they don't know what they're talking about, and them getting angry. And that's basically the premise of it. Highly recommended. So there's a link in the description, cross-platform, to it on BitChute. I checked. I don't know that it's been uploaded to Rumble. I don't know that it's been uploaded elsewhere. I think it got downed on YouTube. I wonder why. But yes, you should probably watch it. It's humorous. It's amusing. To be clear, I support gay rights completely, and I don't care how people dress or if they're transgendered. If you're over 18 and you want to get gender reassignment surgery, I really don't give a shit. I do oppose the grooming of children. I don't make any apologies for that. I don't think that makes me right-wing. Apparently, some people think that makes you an extremist now. I think that just means that they're fucking insane. And they are. They've gotten to the point where a person with 666 in their username who supported gay marriage before the Democrats jumped aboard is having to call you out for going a little bit too far. I warned the Democrats for years now that they had this tendency, but they're too stupid to understand it. To be clear, there are some Republicans that are actually following along with this. They're really, really weird. Sparky, sarcasm alert on my anonymous S-post comment. Pointed out by Gillian Seed 83. 666 isn't evil. Yeah, agreed. It's just a username. I happen to have been using it since the 2000s. I'm kind of reluctant to change it now since it's brought me so much success. Must be the devil. Some of my opponents would probably claim so. Alec, what would you do if Andy 6 had creamy logs about to slid? I would direct them down the gullet, of course. You must sprinkle them with sesame seeds first. It helps them to work their way down your whore throat. Yeah, Bretling, a woman is an adult biological female. No, it's a person without a Y chromosome. Every subgroup, Turner syndrome, etc., XXY disorder can be grouped accordingly. Those would still be female and male, respectively. Saying that it's an adult biological female, the problem is that there are people with chromosomal abnormalities. Saying simply the absence of a Y chromosome makes one female, the presence makes you male, that solves for 100%, as far as I know, of all individuals that walk this earth. There is nothing outside of it. Let's see here. Melissa, how do you properly grow chamomile? Mine is not growing. I don't know what your soil's like or your climate. It grows basically on its own where I live in Rutland. It's still there. I haven't even tended that garden for 2 years. It's still everywhere. What I do is I go out there after the thaw when it's just starting to warm up. When the chamomile gets maybe this big around, like orange size or something, it makes a little green clump. I grow Roman chamomile. I don't know about German. I will dig into the ground around it, just using my finger. I'll just dig around it for a couple of inches, and I'll scoop down with both hands and just rip it out. I'll put it where I want it, water it in. You can't stop it. It's impossible to kill. And it helps every plant around it. It helps with disease resistance, actually. It's also mildly antimicrobial. Makes good tea. It smells good. Bees love it. Butterflies love it. Basically the perfect plant. If I could only grow one plant again, it'd probably be Roman chamomile. Imagine an acre of that and how cool that would smell. Batman, do you think Andy 6 provides ice cream for the White House? I have a feeling Biden is eating logs. Yes, and it's chocolate chip cookie dough all day. It looks like bird guano. It smells like poop. He eats it anyway. He doesn't know the difference. He's pushing 80. He's got Alzheimer's. And he's hungry. Just the way that it is. Anyway, I'm going to go offline here. We hit, let's see, what would that be, crossbow? Would that be 7 Biden loser units? Yes. And this isn't even the Sunday stream. So yes, a little bit of a news recap. Spencer is still wrong. I will be doing a debate against that anti-gun dude whose last name I struggle to pronounce for obvious reasons. I think he just came out of the closet, by the way, yesterday. So Congrats to him, I guess. Doesn't make you right, though. Don't try to pull the id poll thing on me. It won't work. Dr. Oz should not be voted for. Fuck him. Let the Democrats run that Pennsylvania seat up their ass, because they will. And also, then Biden screwing around with gas prices. The Strategic Oil Reserve lowering the overall average price by 2 or 3 cents. Big accomplishment in return for literally wasting enormous amounts of oil that could be used for emergency purposes. And then we have the What is a Woman documentary, link in the description, cross-platform on BitChute. And you should definitely take a look at that, if only for your own amusement. Don't even look at it for information. You probably know all of it, because the pink-haired crowd, they're not good at debating. They get self-righteous and weird and preachy. Just look at it to watch them fail and see how funny it is. That's about all. Peace out.